In the arid expanse of Arizona, the Superstition Mountains loom large, their jagged peaks casting long shadows over the desert floor. The rugged landscape has drawn countless adventurers, hikers, and treasure hunters, each with their own reasons for braving the perilous terrain. For some, it's the lure of gold from the lost Dutchman's mine. For others, it's the chance to confront the supernatural forces that are rumored to dwell within the mountains. But for all who enter, there's a shared understanding. The superstitions are a place where the natural and the unnatural intersect, a place where reality seems to blur into myth. One such tale begins in the sweltering summer of 1931 with a man named Adolf Ruth, a treasure hunter who had spent years obsessing over the fabled lost Dutchman's mine. Equipped with a set of maps he believed held the key to the gold's location, Ruth set out into the Superstition Mountains, despite warnings from locals about the dangers of the area. The heat was oppressive, the terrain was unforgiving, and Ruth, though determined, was woefully unprepared for the journey ahead. Several weeks later, Ruth's absence was noted, and a search party was dispatched. Months passed before his skull was discovered, far from where he had set up camp. A bullet hole marred his remains. Sparking theories of foul play, some believe Ruth had fallen victim to bandits or rival treasure hunters. Others claimed his death was the result of a curse, a warning from the Apache spirits who were said to protect the mine. Strangely, among Ruth's belongings was a note stating that he had found the gold, but the treasure was never recovered. This tragedy only added to the legends that swirled around the mountains. Jacob Waltz, the original Dutchman, was said to have discovered the mine, but took its location to his grave, cursing anyone who dared to seek it. Over the years, dozens of people have vanished in the superstitions, their fates as mysterious as the mountain itself. Some believe these souls were claimed by the same curse that took Ruth, while others think that they simply fell victim to the mountain's treacherous landscape. But the strange happenings in the superstitions aren't limited to treasure hunters alone. One quiet afternoon in the early 2000s, a group of seasoned hikers set off to explore the canyons near Weaver's Needle, an iconic peak within the superstitions. They had heard the stories, of course, tales of gold, death, and wandering spirits, but they dismissed them as mere legend. The first few hours passed uneventfully as they made their way deeper into the mountains, marveling at the beauty of the rugged landscape. As they reached a narrow ridge, one of the hikers noticed something unsettling. Shadowy figures moving along the cliffs above them. At first, they assumed it was another group of hikers, but something was off. The figures moved silently, without the telltales. Are you enjoying today's story? Smash that subscribe button so you never miss another spine-chilling tale. Let's get back to the video. Sounds of footsteps on the rocky terrain. When they called out, the figures didn't respond. They simply vanished into the rock face. A sense of dread washed over the group, and though they searched for any trace of the mysterious figures, there was nothing. Later, they learned that many who ventured into the Superstition Mountains had encountered these same shadowy figures. Some believe that they are the spirits of long-dead Apache warriors, protecting the sacred land from intruders. Others suggest that they are ghosts of those who perished while seeking the lost Dutchman's mine, their restless souls forever wandering the canyons. Whatever the truth, the hikers left the mountains with an unsettling memory that would haunt them for years. In 1955, a group of prospectors searching for gold in the Superstition Mountains stumbled upon something far stranger than treasure. As they made their way through a narrow canyon, a blue mist appeared out of nowhere, rolling through the desert landscape despite the clear, cloudless sky. The mist had an eerie quality. It was thick, swirling, and seemed almost alive. As the mist engulfed them, the men reported hearing whispers, soft at first, then growing louder and more insistent. Some claimed they could make out voices calling their names. One prospector, convinced that someone was nearby, followed the sounds deeper into the canyon, but as quickly as it had appeared, the mist dissipated, and the man found himself standing alone, miles away from the rest of the group. Disoriented and terrified, he stumbled back to camp, but he refused to speak on what he had experienced. Over the years, other hikers and explorers have reported encountering the same blue mist near Weaver's Needle. Some believe it is the manifestation of Apache spirits, a warning to those who dare trespass on sacred lands. Others think it may be the result of a magnetic or geological phenomenon, but no scientific explanation has ever been offered. One of the most persistent legends surrounding the Superstition Mountains is that of Jacob Waltz, the Dutchman himself. Many claim to have seen his ghostly figure wandering the desert near the base of the mountains, his face weathered and gaunt, his eyes searching for something lost. Waltz's spirit is said to be guarding the mine, ensuring that no one ever discovers the treasure he took to his grave. In the 1970s, a pair of hikers encountered an old man who seemed out of his place. His clothes were tattered, his skin leathery from the years in the desert sun. He approached them, asking for directions in a hoarse voice. When they asked him his name, he muttered something unintelligible and walked away. The hikers continued on their path, but when they turned back moments later, the old man had vanished. There was nowhere he could have gone in the barren landscape, and the hikers were left with the chilling realization that they had just spoken to Jacob Waltz's ghost. In 1967, two men exploring a remote canyon stumbled upon what appeared to be gold bars, half buried in the sand. Elated, they began digging them up, but as they did, they started to hear strange sounds, footsteps, whispers, and the distinct feeling of being watched. Terrified, they fled the canyon, leaving the gold behind. One of the men returned the next day, determined to retrieve the treasure. He was never seen again. To this day, the location of the gold remains unknown, but locals believed it is cursed. Many believe that the gold is tied to the spirits of the Apache or other treasure hunters who perished in the mountains, and anyone who tries to claim it is doomed to meet a similar fate. Perhaps the most unnerving phenomenon in the Superstition Mountains is the frequency which people report hearing disembodied voices. Often, these voices call out the names of the hikers, luring them deeper into the mountains. Some hikers had followed these voices, only to find themselves lost and disoriented, miles away from where they had started. Others report hearing the voices of loved ones, even though they know these people are nowhere near the mountains. In 2003, a man named Tommy Davenport disappeared while hiking alone in the Superstition Mountains. When he was found, he was dehydrated and delirious, muttering about following the voice of his brother. His brother, however, had never been on the hike. Tommy couldn't explain how he had become so lost, and he refused to talk about the voice he had followed. And lastly, adding to the strangeness are the reports of strange lights seen above the Superstition Mountains. These lights, often described as glowing orbs, hover over the peaks, or dart into the canyons, disappearing as quickly as they appear. Some believe the lights are extraterrestrial in origin, while others think that they are connected to the supernatural forces that seem to permeate the area. Thank you for watching.